Okay. So to start things out, gonna go over the concerns raised last time. First concern was, how do I sleep at night playing zantetsu? I sleep very soundly, in the fact that I'm playing one of the most fun characters in the game, if not the most fun character in the game. He's good, he's fun. That's really all I see in it. I don't think he's broken, I think he can be dealt with. And I wish more people played him, which hopefully people will play him more, and people will understand how to deal with him more after these instructions. The second concern that was raised was, how do you punish neutral kunai on Reed? If he throws just one set, he has no recovery once he touches the ground. So, let's go over kunai for just a second here. I'm just going to start at really the beginning, so to speak. This is just going to cover all the basics of kunai. So, kunai is 236 and then either A or B in the air. After doing that, you can follow it up with either another 236A or another 236B, and you can even command grab after if you really want to be cool about it. A and B have differences. A and B have considerable differences. First being that the A version of kunai you can do at any height, and you stop immediately on inputting the kunai. The B version, well, you do stop immediately, kind of. If you do it within a certain range from the ground, he will just not throw it. As seen here. Whereas if we were to do A version, he's able to throw just fine. B version, you just can't. Additionally, if you were to do B version directly off the ground, you will get nothing. Whereas if you A, you can Tiger Knee it. If I can get the input right, let's see. There we go, okay. The B version, you can't get that at all. So A version is significantly better in that respect, but there are some more differences. You'll notice A sends you forward whenever you do it, regardless of what direction you start the kunai in. The B version sends you backwards, though not nearly as much as it sends you forward. This is in power. In speed, it's a little bit different. Okay. Well, what is it used for? Kunai is... I don't know about the best. I think it's the best single special in the game for building meter. Builds meter relentlessly fast. And is part of why it does an insane amount of damage as well, with sets hit as an OTG, and is part of the reason why Zantetsu is the best character in the game. It can be used in neutral, like you keep fainting with like neutral and back hops. You can dash to gain ground, back hop, kunai, and that is a really solid game plan because that's going to aggravate the other player. They're going to start jumping to hop over the kunais, and at that point, as we had gone over last video, if I can land it, I'm not going to be able to land it, that's fine. We'll even set him to guard 1. You cannot block a kunai. Just center, why not? You cannot block a slash while jumping. Okay. So kunai, in that respect, as used as a spacing tool, as used as a zoning tool, more of, you can just bait out a lot with it. In addition to like far, half to full screen range kunais, he also has, I'll set him to guard 1 to demonstrate, he also has some extremely gnarly frame traps that abuse kunai. You need a kunai for this. Can't do it with B kunai, it's too close to the ground. But you can come in from the top, cancel the kunai, and then that will connect if they push a button between your button and the kunai. At which point you can link, and we'll see if I can get the link. Yeah, I can. Cool. You can do shenanigans like that. Okay, so let's go over how to, those are probably the two main uses there. I mean, outside of, just OTG after slash, that is whatever, that's part of the combo. But outside the combo usage there, those are the main two uses for kunai. Is that frame trap up at close range, and just zoning at full screen. It's an extremely safe zoning tool. So how do you combat that? Well, let's cover the B kunai first. So B kunai does require, and it's not full screen. It's about mid screen. That's where it'll hit. So Zan can't just sit way in the back and throw these things. He does have to move in a little bit. As the B kunai pushes him back, he can't continue throwing out B kunais, if I can get an error, without eventually needing to move up to continue. When he moves up is when you need to make your move there. So if you see Zan pulling something like this, a lot of dash forwards and then hop backs. The hop backs are going to be safe on most everything. There's a couple scenarios where they won't be, but for the most part, those are going to be safe to the majority of the characters, majority of the roster. But what they aren't is they have difficulty dealing with jumps at probably about mid-screen or so. What needs to happen there is if you see him dash forward, you can essentially do a dash jump as well at the same time so that you're both in the air at the same time. Obviously that does take a little bit of reaction and a little bit of read as well. And the Zan is not going to be consistent in their movement either. They're going to keep changing it up, so you do have to be cautious, and you have to be aware of their actions and just how they're moving. But whenever they're going back here to throw the kunai, you'll notice there is essentially a pocket here that goes over the kunai. And I'm going to break out the mouse here. That may be a little disorienting, but I'm going to break out the mouse. And so we'll see the dash forward, hop back kunai. There's a pocket here, right about in this range. That's completely fine. This range, really, even. Where Moria can hop over. If it's a dashing hop, he'll probably land in this range right here. If it's just a normal jump, probably landed between these dogs. Dashing jump somewhere over here. You can cover the majority of the screen with a dashing jump. You just need to be able to read the Zan's motives, what he's trying to accomplish, and then respond appropriately. So if he's pulling a lot of lame shenanigans, then you need to, whenever you see him like start to go through a kunai, you need to jump at him. The issue with that is jumping forward at Zan, this is covered previously, is generally a bad idea due to the anti-air slash. So what you need to do is make sure your jump is spaced so that and timed. Make sure the jump is spaced and timed so that whenever the Zan lands, if he inputs a slash, that it's not going to eat your jump, cross under your jump, or beat it in any regard. So what that requires is, first off, timing. If you jump roughly at the same time as the Zan, you're going to be safe. As long as you jump within like 7 frames of him, then you're good to go. And it's also going to require spacing. So if Zan, and we still have the mouse out here, I do not like looking at the mouse, but we're going to use it. If the Zan is landing from his kunai right about here, excuse me, you will need to make sure your jump is spaced so that it ends in a position you're going to be comfortable landing in that's going to allow you to react to slash. If you land in a spot that's not reactable, I mean, that's obviously a very bad situation. Let's move more up here a little bit. Let's say Zan does his kunai, lands on the ground, and then Moria jumps and lands roughly here, adjacent to him. Neither of them scoring any hits on either the kunai or if Moria had done a aerial attack. This is a pretty bad spot because, as seen there, cross-up slash lands very effectively. Now, if Moria had landed here, after the kunai, he had jumped over the kunai and landed here, Zan is not going to be able to cross-up slash without it being very reactable. I don't think he can slash at this range either anyways. But this is a lot better spot for Moria to be in, because now whenever Zan goes to, I'm not going to be able to demonstrate, but whenever Zan tries to like dash up, back hop, Moria is going to be able to lay on the pressure a little bit better and potentially punish if they do catch the Zan throwing the kunai. So that's generally how you want to approach the B kunais. One thing to note, and I'm going to take the mouse out here, that's really annoying. One thing to note here is that the kunais, this kind of style of play where you're just kind of hopping back, kind of dissuading jumps with this A, and then, you know, throwing out a kunai every now and then, just really being unpredictable. One thing that this lends to is throwing in an illusion, invisibility input, somewhere in that range. And this, the thing about invisibility is that it's pretty punishable, but you do have to time your punish and be in a space where you can punish it in a timely fashion. We'll notice here, essentially the moment his hat disappears, there's like a couple of frames, I don't know how long, it feels like probably like 3 or 4 frames, where he's completely invisible, invincible. His hurt boxes are removed. You're not going to be able to punish him. You have to punish him while he's throwing the cape over himself. If you do it after, your attacks are just going to go right through him. So normally, for most characters, this means that if he gets full screen, he starts the input, he's going to get it. They can't punish in that amount of time. So you do have to be in a position to where you're applying pressure onto Zan through the kunais, through the jumping A's. You have to be in a spot where you can punish that that invisibility should he opt to go into it. So you do need to have like jumps queued, be in a space to where, you know, if he does do that, then he's going to get punished, because invisibility is an extremely useful tool. And once he has that installed, and then he gets in, it takes reaction out of anything, and it turns his stuff into legitimate 50-50s. This chair makes noise, by the way. There we are. Chairs. It is what it is. It's going to continue making noise. So that's kind of how to deal with most of that, is you do have to just kind of be aware of his movements. And advance in ways through hops, short hops, and dashing jumps that cover ground, because you do want to close in on him. You want to engage from, like, start engaging at a healthy distance. You know, definitely don't want to put yourself into a range where you're not going to be able to react to cross-ups, but you do want to get into a range where you can start applying pressure while threatening his kunais, because at about this range right here, there's a spot where his kunais are just not going to be useful. There is, I mean, he is going to be able to hit. I don't think there's any spot on the map that Zan can stand in and not at least get one kunai off it, at least in this range here. He can select between either the A or the B version depending on the opponent's range and expect to land it. There's no like middle spot where you can kind of get between those ranges. But yeah, you essentially want to close into a distance where you can start punishing the kunai should he start throwing it out, as it is. If you hop over the actual kunai, it's unsafe all the way down until it lands on the ground, at which point it starts being safe again. So you do need to punish him while he's in the air, which there's not a lot of good not a lot of good air punishes for most of the roster. There's a couple here and there, but for the most part, it's going to be like 5A or 5B, or just setups into something else, like some 8-2 Oki or something like that. Either way, let's start talking about the A version. We'll send it back to guard 1 for this. So this frame trap right here, how do you get out of that? Especially when you start incorporating all of these other mixes into it. Too early. There we are. So how do you combat that? Well, the easiest solution to that is to not be in this range. This is probably the worst range to be at, adjacent to a Zan. Assuming that you are not applying the pressure. And that's something I don't think I made as that clear last video, was that if you're at this range, it has to be your turn. You have to be applying pressure. You have to be pushing buttons. And these buttons have to be safe. They can't be punished at all by a 2C, because if so, you're eating 30% into Oki, or into having to wade through the kunai shenanigans again. If you're in this range, you need to be the aggressor. The moment you stop being the aggressor and Zan starts putting on his, if I can get it, his brand of shenanigans, it's pretty much toast. You have to make a lot of good guesses to be able to get out of that safely. Or the Zan just has to play poorly. Either one. So how do you deal with this kunai here? Believe it or not, so assuming that the Zan goes for the A into kunai, into like a 2C, you can actually interrupt between the blocked kunai and the 2C. You can put a normal in between there. It has to be something fast, like another 2C or a 5A, but you can interrupt there. If you try to interrupt between the A and the kunai, like I previously mentioned, you're getting stuffed, you're losing that interaction, and you're eating 30%. So that is a way to kind of get out of that. The only issue there is, once you've eaten that, you are now in range for, instant cross-up slash, instant air overhead, even just a grab. You have to definitely be aware of all of Zan's options, which one you think he's going to be going after, and read him like a book. Your best options to get out of there is something after blocking that kunai, as it is not plus. I think it's either even or a little bit negative, but it's definitely not plus. It's safer the closer he does it to the ground. Like if he does it up here, you can definitely try and pop him. And if you switch guard after it, if he's way too high up, you can punish him. But if he's doing it properly next to the ground here, switch guard and then throw it a normal after the block kunai. And that kind of messes up his pressure a little bit there, because he's not going to be able to 646 without eating a normal or a grab. He's not going to be able to throw out a 2C without getting hit by it. And most normals that you interrupt that kunai with are going to be hitting him in the air as well. So for the most part, you want to make sure you block after the kunai and then respond accordingly. Now, if the issue here is that you need to react to the kunai. So if he just doesn't kunai, I mean, he's still, positive here. This is still a range that you do not want to be in. You want to keep yourself out of whenever he's applying pressure, but keep yourself in when he's applying pressure. Or when you're applying pressure, my bad. And just generally, you want to be the aggressor when you're in that range. Okay, so hopefully that kind of answers the question regarding, well, how do I beat kunai spam? And how do I beat kunai frame traps? You need, and really what it just boils down to, as far as for, like, if someone's just doing just random kunais in neutral, you need to be able to hop before he throws the kunais and then knock him down out of the air, because again, he is safe the moment he hits the ground, but while he's falling, he's not safe. And while he's sitting up in the air, he's definitely not safe. If you're in the air with him, that's the best spot to be able to punish him. It's just that most Zans are going to throw their kunais close to the ground, which is a little tricky with the B version. You do have to be familiar with that range that it comes online at. But yeah, for the most part, just be careful with your engagements and knock them out of the air. Alright. So, on to what I was originally planning to talk about, his Oki. How to get out of Zan Oki. And what we're going to need here is go into versus mode, as I want to highlight some things here. We'll go ahead and put the wipe up to max. It's the best stage in the game, and let's get on with it. So, one part of choosing your range of engagement with zantetsu that was not covered too well in the last one is you need to be aware of the range that is occurring here. And actually, yeah, you need to be definitely aware of the range that you're facing zantetsu at, you're engaging him at, but you also need to be conscious of this whenever you're waking up off the ground here. So let's take just a regular combo here, for example. So right here, that's Zan, 646C, and then 2 B kunais. This is going to put him at, what is this, mid-screen, 3/4 screen. Right here, Zan is not going to be able to cross-up slash. He's going to be able to raw slash. Not the best idea, but, he's going to be able to kind of zone out from here, do his things, and then if he needs to, he's also going to be able to engage and, apply pressure appropriately. But as far as for that range right there, that's a pretty decent one to be at for Zan. Now let's see what happens if the opponent was to roll forward. They are placed in, this is a danger spot. You do not want to roll forward versus Zan and put yourself into this range. Again, as discussed previously, that range is one of the worst spots to be when you're facing Zan, especially when waking up, because when you're in neutral, you can throw out normals. You can, kind of keep them out a little bit with you know, the normals. You can't 646C through a normal. You're going to get stuffed for the most part. And depending on the range, if the 646C and it collides with a normal, you're getting hit. The issue with rolling, however, is that you do not have any normals that can start fast enough to interrupt the 646C before he gets either his slash in the front or slash in the back. So at that point, you have to start guessing. And as we saw previously, had Moria rolled forward and ended up about at this range, he's going to need to be very fast to react to Zan slash. And he'll probably need to press D, honestly, to be able to get it properly. Go ahead and put some damage down so we can move to the next match. But again, forward rolling versus a Zan, you have to be very conscious of the Zan going for a 646C. You have to understand that they're pretty much going to be going for it every time. We'll go ahead and choose, and I'm actually going to set this to, yeah, set that to that, because that was only a little loud. So let's take a look at a back roll after this. 2 kunais and then roll backwards. This is going to put the zantetsu at full screen. From here, the only options they really have is to like dash out B kunai or to meaty 646C, which, as discussed previously, is entirely safe. You can't punish it. A full screen meaty slash is not something you can punish if you block. You can parry waking up. Again, that's difficult. You can try it if you like, but it's tough. It's really tough. And most of the time it's not a good idea because the Zan will just wait for you to parry and then, okay, I will like my free combo, please. I don't have center. My bad. So that's kind of it for the B kunais here, but we'll notice if we get an A kunai, that drops him right in front of Mori here. Again, this is an extremely dangerous spot for Mori to be in, so if you notice 646C, 236A, 236A, that's if you quick stand, now you're in a bad spot. Previously, it's if you rolled forwards, now it's if you stand up. So again, really bad spot to be in. Let's take a look at the quick stand on the B version of the kunais. Quick stand, you know, that's almost full screen there. Not a lot Zan can do, whereas in this A kunai spot, it's pretty bad. The thing with the kunais here, though, is that after Zan throws them, he's not exactly plus. It kind of looks like he may be, but it's roughly even there. So if you have like a Lee 2C or just something incredibly fast you can throw out, sometimes you can stuff him a little bit at this range. At a range like this, you have no options available to you to be able to punish him for the most part. You maybe have some spacing stuff if you're playing Moria or Zombie or something like that, or you can like dash forward if you think he's not going to immediately 646C, but those are options that are either risky or available only to a couple characters. And we'll go ahead and choose this again. There we go. Okay, so let's try the A follow-up with a back roll. So that kind of put him in the corner. Let's try that again here. So this is a lot better spot to wake up at versus Zan, because again, he can't cross up here. So the only options he has available to him is a meaty slash, which is not safe at this range. It's going to put him... let me see if I can get it. There we go, I got it. I'm playing on Xbox 360. I got Moria controls on my right stick here. But so this is a spot that Moria would be able to punish if he blocked a slash. So if we kind of go back here, right about here is where he landed after a back roll. We notice that that's actually a really good spot for Mori to be in. He's going to be able to block all of Zantetsu's gimmicks and hopefully be able to apply his own strategy safely, depending on what Zan's actions here are, and really what Mori's actions are as well. So once we get to the next round, we'll show the forward roll off 236A, 236A. So this is a crosses. Notice this is still in a very dangerous spot, but this does cross up, so it makes 646C a little less reliable. That said, it's still not a good spot to be in because Zan can, 2C stagger to grab or just really apply any facet of his pressure. Excuse me for just a second. Really apply any facet of his pressure against Moria here and get away scot-free. The best situation this is applied in, though, if I can get the input, is rolling out of the corner. Zantetsu is still going to be able to get a cross-up, and he may be able to get like a jumping B set up as well, but it puts you out of the corner, and I don't think I've said this yet, but the corner is not where you want to be versus Zantetsu. This is the worst spot in the game. If mid-screen with Zantetsu adjacent to you was previously the worst spot, in the corner with him adjacent to you is the actual worst spot. That's where he gets his jump cancel loops. And once we spawn in here, that's where he gets his jump cancel loops. He gets an extremely nasty Oki off like 236A cancels, like 236A resets rather, and it's just not good. You don't want to be there. I feel anyone who's played against a Zantetsu knows very well you don't want to be there. Okay, so that kind of covers the rolls there. Generally versus the B version, you either want to quick rise or roll back, as that's going to put you out of cross-up range. If you roll forward, it's going to put you like right here, not where you want to be. You do not want to quick rise here versus 236A, 236A. You don't want to front roll because that's going to put you in the same spot. Unless you're getting out of the corner, then it's kind of permissible. And you generally want a back roll there, just so you can get out of that danger spot of not being able to react to a cross-up slash. So that's it for like knowing how to roll out of Zantetsu's combos. You do want to, and this just goes as the game as a whole, you do want to mix up whether you roll or not, and if you do, in which direction you roll. So I can just pause it. Nice. So don't take this as like a hard rule that you should never roll forward. If the situation calls for it, definitely roll forward, but if you do, you need to know that you're putting yourself into a dangerous position in which you need to be knowledgeable about that he can cross-up slash here with a speed that's difficult, if not impossible, to react to. If you do it sparingly, you can kind of mess him up, and when he tries to set up Oki, he may go for like a dashing jump B, something like this if he expects you to quick rise, and then from there you have to guess. But if you were to forward roll, most likely end up here. Zan would first off land earlier than the roll would get up at. So the B version, the B attack here would whiff entirely. And then you'd be at this distance, which is not bad. You can react to slash at that range. Okay. So that's just how you generally want to act with rolls and combos versus combos. So let's talk about some of Zan's more tricky mix-ups. 236A. It's this thing right here. It launches. Oh, excuse me. And I'm mashing D here, but you'll notice that you can't tech in the air, but you can tech once you hit the ground. Very rarely are you going to hit the ground after 236A, and we'll go ahead and show it's going to the next round. Whatever. Okay. You can probably change the time settings in the options. I have not. Go back to here. Alright, now that the announcer's done talking over me, we will get into the resets. So the main reset here is this, which restands right here, which, as anyone who has been paying attention to the past 50 minutes of me talking, is not a spot you want to be in, as this is a cross-up slash range that's very hard to react to. So in practice, that's what it looks like there. You can also use the A rather than the C, and you can get some really ambiguous stuff off of that. Okay, so that's a reset. How do you get out of that? You can tech after the hit. After being hit in the air from the 236A, you can tech out. This is generally not the best idea, believe it or not. You really only want to be doing this if he's displayed that he's doing his resets actually finishing them and going for the cross-up resets. So you do want to be careful with this tech here, because if they read that you're going to tech and you tech, you have absolutely no options unless you're Kojiro, Zantetsu, or like Makuro, someone who has a good cross-up normal. You're going to have no way of contesting a cross-up slash if you tech in the air. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. There we go. A little tough with my controller setup, but hopefully that illustrates don't tech. Well, tech sometimes, because pretty much as a rule versus Zantetsu, you don't want to tech unless you absolutely know you're getting out of a stickier situation than what you're potentially putting yourself into. So sometimes it's better to just read the reset, but as exampled there, it's really tough to see if it's going to hit on the front or if it's going to hit on the back. So teching out is the best choice if you think he's going to slash reset. If you think he's just going to wait, you do have to be careful with your tech. And you can parry as well once you hit the ground. That will kind of catch either the cross-up slash or the regular slash, but that's just as risky, if not riskier, than teching while in the air. And we'll go ahead and start that all over. Okay. So in addition to 236A resets, we also have something that's pretty nasty, and it's going to be 1 236A kunai after 646C. So we'll go ahead and show what that looks like without the reset, and we'll take a peek at how exactly to combat it with the reset. So again, as anyone who has been watching the videos, they will notice that this is not a spot you want to be in. If you quick rise after a 236A, most people do, you're going to be in cross-up slash range. So let's see what that looks like in motion here. If I can actually land the inputs, that'd be preferable. So that's fast. That hurts a lot, and that's going to spell stun for some characters, depending on how much Zan pressure you've eaten before that. So that's awful. If you get hit with wrong reset. If you get hit with 1 236A, you have to roll. You just absolutely have to roll. You either have to roll or have to block forward in preparation for the Zan slash. And if you block forward, you are now allowing him to meaty 2C and go into whatever damage he wants. So putting yourself in that position is pretty much not what you want to be doing. You want to be either rolling forward, which is evidenced here, crosses up, so it's a little bit harder to 646C, but it's still just as susceptible to, high-low mix-up. Or you can roll back, which is the safest solution, as that puts you at a range that's can't be crossed up, can be meaty slashed, but if they do meaty slash, you're going to be able to punish accordingly. So, take a look at it again here. It can whiff, depending on if the zantetsu does it too early or not. That's how plus he is after that one kunai. He's incredibly plus. So be careful about pushing buttons. Be careful about standing up after that one kunai, because that's really kind of hard coded into most people's psyche here. Is that after that one kunai, they just stand up. We'll go ahead and choose our characters again here, and then get pause, please. So yeah, definitely need to be careful about that situation. And there's another piece of oki here. Yeah, we'll cover this. So jumping. Let's say just Moria neutral jumps, holds back for a block. And I probably won't be able to do it, so we'll just pretend he blocks, or we can even say he gets hit. He jumps, not hops. We'll see what happened there. So after that hit, notice where Zantetsu's landing. These are all very dangerous spots for Moria to be in, because after each one of these, Zan is going to be able to 646C and immediately cross up to it. So what kind of recourse do we have here to be able to fight that reset? And it's the same thing as 236A. You're going to be able to tech out, or you're going to be able to parry, deflect on the ground. Beyond that, there's not a lot of options. If you get hit by the A, as you do have to be hit by the A or block the A in a bad position to be receiving that kind of pressure. Yeah, so definitely another reset to be aware of there. We'll go ahead and move on to the next round before we cover our next spot. So this is something that, there we are. So this is something that's not as well known, but if you fight of Zantetsu for any period of time, you'll quickly come to find out that the dive kick, after the finish there, the finish kick, you can tech if you want, or you cannot tech, or you cannot tech and even OTG if I can do it correctly. Yeah, there we go. So you can either eat an OTG or you can tech. Most people want to tech in that scenario, but something that's not as well known as being able to tech is that they are 100%. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it here, just based on my controller setup, but I'll just do it a little bit slower. Zantetsu is able to punish. I'm probably not going to be able to do the actual input, show it on the screen here. But Zantetsu is able to punish, wow, if I can even slash input. Zantetsu is going to be able to punish the tech with a dash slice. He's not going to be able to completely 100% OS that tech, but he is going to be able to cover it at the bare minimum here. Okay, he is going to be able to cover the tech. There are some situations where you can tech out, depending on what time, on how you time your tech. You can get out of the 646C and still tech, because, again, depending on the timing here, Zantetsu can slash to cover the tech, cover an early tech, and then still be able to get a 5C OTG. Sometimes that last 5C does count. Sometimes it doesn't count as much as eating something. But kind of depending on the timing here, Zan is either going to dash slice 5C as an OS, or he's going to delay his dash slice in order to catch a late tech off the dive kick. So definitely be aware that that's going on there, because if you aren't teching at all, then Zantetsu's going to throw 2 kunais at you after eating a dive kick and come out with essentially a full bar. But if you do tech, then you're going to be eating 646C and then 2 kunais, and that's pretty much a full bar. So you do need to play a little bit of a mind game there as to if he's going to late slash, if he's going to early slash 5C OS, just kind of what's going on. You need to be aware of his actions and what he's doing. Okay, so that's dive kick shenanigans. I think that is going to be all I want to cover for right now. Again, if you have any input or things that are not making sense, just talk about them and I'll talk about them. But that's generally how to deal with most of his Oki there. Most of his traditional, like 646C Oki, that's the most important Oki you need to be familiar with. That's what most Zantetsus are going to be using. The good Zantetsus are going to be doing like 8-2 Oki with 2C and 2A, and to be able to combat that, you've got to be better than me. I'm actually not that good. I just know a little bit about Zantetsu, which sometimes that's all you need to be good. Okay. Thank you again. Oh, real quick, one thing I forgot to mention. You cannot punish a tiger knee. My mouse cursor showing up there. You cannot punish a tiger knee kunai. Like tiger knee kunai in neutral is going to be something that's extremely difficult, if not impossible, to react to, and then also not something you're going to be able to punish. So, a little heads up about that. The way to deal with this is by being proactive and neutral, by throwing out buttons. Zan's going to have a hard time, doing his whatever. I'm probably not going to be able to illustrate it. I only have 2 hands. But this is a difficult option if the opponent is jumping a lot, or if they're throwing out a lot of normals. Which, if the opponent's jumping a lot, they're going to be eating 646Cs more often than not, and so on and so on. Additionally, something that I also wanted to go over that I had not got a chance to, I had mentioned jumping as a whole is bad versus Zan, but there are some situations in which it is good. Namely kunai spam, and also getting out of a cross-up slash. Rather than switching sides to block, you can actually hold up, and depending on the range of the slash, if he catches you too early, it's going to hit, and it's going to get full combo. But if you jump early enough, you're actually going to hop over the slash and then get a full punish on him, assuming you have some sort of cross-up normal, or some normal that hits like directly beneath you. But jumping during a cross-up is, I don't think I'm going to be able to illustrate it. Especially not with this amount of time. I'll give it a shot and then just call it quits. Because that's really all I have to show. So like right here is a good cross-up slash distance. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to show it off. I only have 2 hands. But essentially, Mori's going to end up here, and then he's going to be able to, I can't do that. Not with how I'm holding the controller, but he's going to be able to get his punish off. You'll just have to believe me there. Okay, yeah, that's really it.